Welcome to Worldwide House Hunters, and today's episode takes us to Chatham, Virginia. This Victorian house caught my eye. I like the colors on it, just the overall feel. Just feels like yesteryear, right? So I just wanted to see what the inside looks like. I grew up seeing houses like this, not only in New York, but also, throughout the South. There was a house, I forget where we were driving, and it just was such a beautiful place. I think on our drive from Orlando to Mississippi, where my ex-wife lived, there was a house with a big wraparound porch like this. It was the color, I think, was gray and white or something like that. And you just kind of come around this bend and you see this majestic house. And so I always kind of loved that house, and the Victorian style houses to me are very, very appealing. It just is a monstrous size house, though. This is 5,944 square feet. That's a lot of cleaning. That's the way I think about that. To keep all that together is a lot. This house has 7 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. It was built in 1850, so it's 175 years old. This is amazing, and it's a single family residence. You would think, I think in New York there would be people that would take these and rent out the rooms in the house, right? They'd have something big like this. You rent a room, and everybody has a room or whatever, and that's how they kind of make money. So, $399,900. It is on the market. The lot is 4.28 acres. There was something else that I saw here that I was going to bring out. Yeah, 75 or more than 75 years old. Looks like 175 years old at this point. $67 a square foot. The tax assessment on it is $407,000. So let's take a look. Let's kind of run through and see. This one doesn't have a 3D, so we're gonna have to go through our pictures here. Outside looks nice. Looks like it could be a little more kept as far as like manicure on the lawn areas or whatever. Maybe they don't have someone that comes through and edges off the lawn, but I think that would count for a lot in the aesthetic of the property if they did that. There's a little bit of shrubbery going on here, but I think it could be better. I think it definitely could be better. This could be made to look really, really majestic and luxurious. But the porch itself is amazing. Look at the beauty of this. I always love how they have this, maybe this rounded area. I don't know exactly what that's called in the porch or whatever, where you can come sit out here. Just this wraparound area. It's just beautiful. I just love that. Let's see what else we got here. So I don't know. Is this our front door, or looks like there's a light out there? Maybe that's the foyer or something out there. I don't know. Or is this a reflection behind us? I don't really know. But we can see starting out that it really has old time flavor to it. You can see from the wood and all that, and the wood floors, these slat wood floors are, it's wonderful. It's just an old building. So I think a lot of this is preserved from the 1850s when they built this. So you're getting a lot of history with this home. So maybe this is the area where you just come in the door at. Looks like there's a little bit of a desk here. Let's see. Yeah, it's definitely an old time feel. This wallpaper reminds me of my grandmother's house. She had the wallpaper. You can kind of like rub your hand down the wallpaper, and we just used to say it feels like velvet. So this is, that's probably not been changed in a long time. And maybe it's because they were trying to preserve the feel of the home so that it feels like you're in the early, the late 1800s to the early 1900s. You want to feel like that. But the thing about that time period was when they built a house, they built a large house. They didn't spare any expense. The doorway here, this nice wide, large doorway here. Very nice. The arches that we got here, and kind of the pillars going on here. It's just a real throwback to that time. You see how the stairs going up here, but it's always this last stair here. You kind of got that wide thing at the bottom. My sister has that in her house, so this is like an old time deal here. Um, I think if you like this style, you'd be probably be happy here. I don't think living in this style would be mine. I think I would really want to modernize the inside. That's just the way that I am. But for somebody who likes this time period and they feel like this is something for them, they'd love it, man. Um, they're covering the floors, so hopefully that's some protection for the floors. The wood floors, they're probably as old as the house is, so there's definitely some protection there. Lots of old antique style furniture, chairs and things like that. Lots of old stuff here, right? They've got lots of artwork going on the walls. Um, Looks like they all fit the time period, so we can see the aesthetic that they're going for. Um, wow, interesting. Very interesting stuff here. Fireplace going right here. Probably a real fireplace. I don't know, maybe, with time if they still use it, if it's still usable or not. I can't really tell here. It almost looks like it's closed or something in there. So maybe there's doors there or something that close it, that close. Um, but yeah, this is really, 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 really nice. Lots of space here, walkable space, kind of a living room type area for people to be chilling. So this is up against some type of desk or armoire or something like that. So maybe on this other side it has drawers or something. But wow. This must be the dining area. Um, Amazing the size of this dining area. Look, another fireplace. So back then they really spared no expense. Like they really went all out with the size of your place. Everything wasn't compact. Everything was so large, right? So that's what you're getting when you're getting like a Victorian home like this. And for like 400 grand, you're not going to find 6,000 square feet for 400 grand in a lot of places. That's not going to happen. So that's just amazing, right? But maybe the home is older, maybe it needs some repairs and things like that. That's something that you definitely would want to know. Just wondering if it can pass inspection and all that stuff is going to be important for you if you're trying to mortgage it or you're trying to get a loan on it. You definitely want to be able to pass inspection. It's definitely a lot older home. It just depends on how they've kept the bones. Nice chandelier here, but you can see in the ceiling here, there's definitely some issues going on in the ceiling there, so you probably want to know what those things are. What's happening there. It's an older home. It's going to have things that are not exactly 100% taken care of, but it's not going to be new. It's an older home, so you got to be really really prepared for whatever repairs may come about that you have to take care of. And it's a lot of house. 6,000 square feet is a lot of house to take care of. But this dining room is huge. So it almost feels like this is where the family would sit, and they probably had a staff or somebody, maids. It's 1850, so maybe slaves. This is Virginia, so maybe slaves. You never know that staff the house too. Maybe coming in or whatever and bringing food and stuff like that from the kitchen. That's what it feels like to me. Something going on here in the ceiling as well in the kitchen. Got a couple of ceiling fans going on, plus a light here, so I don't know why that is. And then we have another light over here. The lighting structure just seems a little weird in the kitchen, but nice wood stove here, wood burning stove. I don't know what they do with that, if they use that to cook on, if it's possible to cook on it. And I imagine back in the days, maybe that's what they did. Tile in here is, definitely linoleum or whatever this is here, whatever probably would have to be replaced. It looks like it's coming apart in some areas here. But it's an older house. This is what would happen. But I like this, that even the pictures, the way this Looks, this might be the house here. This might be the house, a picture of it back then. Wow. So they're really trying to preserve the old school feel for it. But for somebody who wants to modernize things, they definitely would like to. I would imagine somebody would come in as a buyer and probably cut a lot of this and replace it. But it's cool that they've been able to preserve so much of it. But it seems like they've kind of added things that, probably weren't there before. um, I would imagine they may not have had this island here or whatever back then. That's probably something built in, and then this wood kind of really doesn't match anything else. I guess they've kind of did some cabinetry in here, but this doesn't really kind of match the old school feel or whatever. So it just doesn't feel like it was there back then. Just in my opinion, I don't know. What do I know? So I'm not an expert on this. But a nice bay window here with a lot of light coming in. Yeah, there's definitely some issues with the ceilings. I would hate for that to be water or something that's causing that peeling or whatever. That would be an issue. But there's okay, here's this actual stove and all that stuff. That was behind us, and the refrigerator and everything. But nice windows, nice light here. I just think that for me, it would need an update. But for a lot of people, they probably want to keep it the way that it is. Yeah, I see that's refrigerator is definitely gotta get changed out. So if you were to come in here, you'd probably want to change all that out, right? The refrigerator's not from back then, so you probably would get rid of it. But look at this chest, this freezer chest here in the kitchen. Like that's not something that you see very often, and it's a big one too. So wow, that's amazing. Like you typically see that like in a garage or something like that, or off somewhere, but this is right in the kitchen. So I guess it helps. I guess if you got your meat and stuff in there and your vegetables and stuff. My grandmothers used to have these kind of chests and stuff like that, and we'd be full of stuff. You had to go in the chest and grab something out of there, right, to cook for dinner or whatever. Washer and dryer in the kitchen. This is a big kitchen. It's a really big kitchen. I guess this wood burning stove is probably for heat more so than for cooking, but I'd imagine at some point, if it was built in the 1850s or whatever, maybe this might have been the stove, or might have been the area where the stove was. Wow, look at that. Big chest here. It gives you a lot more space. You just would have to move everything. But you can tell that's old. That's been there a long, long time. But yeah, some nice cabinetry up here. Places for mugs and all that stuff. Kind of cool. I don't know if this is a radio or something underneath. I haven't seen that in a long time. Backsplash is definitely old. So, just the countertops and everything. So I think the person moving in would probably do a lot of work here. This is going to be a renovation for somebody. Yeah, I just can't see them, moving in and keeping it like this. But you're going to have some deep pockets. Here's another heater. So I guess these are heaters then. So for the wintertime, those are going to be pretty good. So the sink looks pretty modern. This, like I said, this is probably new. This island here is probably new. Just the way they put all this stuff in here. It probably didn't exist before. But here's more counter space and stuff. Looks like almost a coffee maker here. So this is what, like kind of a pantry off of the kitchen? Interesting. Got a lot of pictures in this one, so we're going to move on. Here's the bathroom. Kind of small. Is the way this roof goes. I guess it's on the roof line or whatever. I don't know if this is or is that stairs going up or something? Maybe stairs, or is it the roof line? Maybe it's stairs. But yeah, the bathtub this is an older bathtub. You can tell. Not a lot of space here in this bathroom. Not a lot of space to hold things near the sink. But not bad at all. Now this bedroom is quite large. I like the floors. I think they probably would need to be done, just refurbished a little bit, but I think these floors are really, really nice. I definitely would want to change out that the wallpaper going on there, but it's nice. It's got a fireplace in here and everything. I don't know about the bed being right next to the window, but There's a couple of windows here, so there's probably not a lot of places where you can put it. But wow, this is a big, big bedroom. I miss having bedrooms like this where you can walk in and there's just space. It's nice. Wow. Wow. Wood burning area, wood burning stove, or kind of like almost like a fireplace here. Wow. But okay, this is more like it, right? Without the don't have the wallpaper going on here. We got paint, but we definitely got some issues here. That might be water or something. I would be very cautious of that. But yeah, this is a nice space, kind of like a sitting space. I don't know if it's the actual living room, because a lot of these places have big rooms, just kind of like sitting rooms and stuff like that. That was common back then. But this is nice though. It seems like this is kind of a cozy place to kind of hang out. And then we got our bedrooms off of that. Wow. Oh, this is interesting. Did you see that? These windows on top here? It's really kind of strange, right? In the house? Like inside? Why would you have... Oh, maybe you can close your door, but then you can open this to kind of maybe let the heat in from like the fireplace or something. That's different. I wonder why they would have that. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe for privacy, but then you can have it open to catch the heat or something. That's interesting. Wow. Still our kind of our sitting room, living room type area. Here's another nice large bedroom, 2 twin beds in there. I don't know. Probably not the best thing in front of the closet area. So you might want to switch that out for maybe just a regular twin, or maybe a full-size bed or something, and then you'd have room on this side to get to the closet. But pretty cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they use it for rooming or something, maybe kind of bed and breakfast type thing or whatever, and they have people stay, and they got a couple of beds in there or whatever that they can rent out. It's a big room though. That's the wonderful thing about these properties. They're so big. Now this bathroom definitely is very dated. Coming from a lot of the videos that I've done, this definitely looks dated. It's going to take a little bit of work to pull this out. This is probably was done in the 70s. It just looks like that 70s style tub that we grew up with, maybe 60s to 70s area looks like that. They probably just had that put in back then, and nobody's ever fixed it since then. This is nice. Now this is really, really nice. See, looks like this is probably like the front door or something when you come in. I kind of miss having an area like this when you come in the front door to actually, take off your shoes and your coat and all that kind of stuff, and you're just kind of, coming in out of the snow or whatever. This is kind of a cool area to have before you get into the main house, right? Where you're, you got guests and everybody's getting ready to go home, and everybody kind of gathers here around the door, and everybody talks for like 30, 45 more minutes. And, even though the door's right there, nobody's leaving, right? That's kind of what I think of when I see this. But this is really cool. This feels modern, but at the same time feels like the older days, right? So this is cool. This is what, if you can get the entire house to feel a little bit like this or closer to that, you're going to be all right. Wow. So maybe maybe they're just like kind of working their way through the house, or they started working their way through it. But this it's got a little bit more modern feel to it. You can even tell in this room, it's kind of feels just a little bit more modern, even though the furniture is a little bit older. It just doesn't have that wallpaper and, that fuzzy, felty wallpaper stuff. It looks pretty good. But just the amount of space, right? This is just almost like a breakfast nook type thing or something. This kitchen needs a lot of work. Definitely whoever would come in here would have to do a lot of work. Very old appliances here. I don't know if these still work or not, but it just seems like this is a second kitchen that they had or whatever. It's a second kitchen in the house, and they just kind of store things over here. And that was common back then. We have houses with couple of kitchens in it, which that's not really what you see today. Unless you're spending millions of dollars, you don't really see that. So here we go. There's our upstairs. Again, the arches, kind of a landing, and then you kind of get to this, a couple more stairs, and then you're really upstairs. I love the floors. I think they would, need a little bit of work to kind of even them out and all that kind of stuff. They're a little couple of warped. They're probably a little bit loose here, but nice. But yeah, the wallpaper would have to go. I think you would have to kind of go through and like strip that wallpaper down, see what's underneath there, and see if you can put some paint up. Nice large room. I don't even know what this room would be. Is this like a sewing room or something that they would have had back then? Just, somewhere maybe upstairs where you're just kind of hanging out if you don't want to go all the way downstairs. Wow. Fireplaces everywhere. A library. Okay, so maybe a library. It's a library then, right? Is this the same? Yeah, because we got books here and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the thing about the older homes from that generation is like they appreciated having separate sections for each thing. And I think we think that of that as a luxury. And of course, maybe it was a luxury back then. Of course, anybody who's buying this house back then, they had some money. Or building this house, they probably had money. But they thought about those things like, oh, I want a library. I want a place to study in my home. That's what it's for. They thought about those things and they had space. And I don't know, it's like they just didn't think that smaller was better. They just was like, oh, you need this much space to live. And so, that's the beauty, I think, of the United States is just, we just have space. We adore space. This bedroom here is a little bit older. That wallpaper's definitely got to go, but it's got its own like fireplace type area too or whatever. We don't know if that works, but wow. Lots of potential. Probably got some water damage going on here, something going on there. But it has a lot of potential. Like these, if you really were going to just spend the time to go through the house and fix it, it's got a lot of potential to it. But look at this. See, these are the things. Look at the ceiling here. Those are the things you're gonna have to deal with when you got an old house. This is somebody's office. They're working in there. I don't know if I'd like this to be above my computer. So that looks like water or something is damaging that. Something is damaging that. You want to get that fixed. I don't even know if that would pass inspection to be able to sell it, right? This is nice. There's something definitely going on over here. But this is nice. See, this is cool. It kind of has the old school feel to it. I don't know who this dude is up on the picture. I don't know if I want him watching over me while I'm asleep. but this room probably is not that far from being, maybe modernized just a little bit and updated just a little bit. Lots of space. This room has a couch in it. Bedroom has a couch and 2 chairs in it plus the bed, right? So you've got space here. Look at this. This room has a couch in it too. Doggy crate, everything here. Wow, this is amazing. Just the amount of space is just crazy. It's like if you sell this house, it's like, where do you live? Like, where do you, like, you can't move all of your stuff out, or where are you going to put all this stuff? You're not going to find a house with a bedroom where you can put your sofa. It's going to be difficult to find. This is a house you're going to stay in for a while. Okay, so maybe this was an older person. So this is telling the story. This is definitely probably an older person because this is, or somebody who had some sort of deficiency or age thing where they can actually sit and take a bath, old school style tub here with feet on it, toilet around the corner instead of right slam next between the bathtub and the sink. Nice space here, and wow. I don't know about these shelves here, but that's an interesting idea to build your shelves in. Color-wise, they don't seem like they match the rest of the house, but it's cool. Looking like the entryway here, maybe to the outside. Looks like you put your umbrellas here and stuff like that. So maybe this is the foyer to come in. But it's beautiful on the outside too. Have to see how well it's kept and all that kind of stuff, but looks beautiful. Lots of land, big trees, big older trees that add to the aesthetic. Looks like there's a couple of doorways, different ways you can kind of get in. Maybe the back porch. You can come on down and get a couple of porches here where you can come on down. So yeah, this is beautiful. I think the biggest problem is going to be the age. Just the age of it and trying to modernize and make sure that things are not falling apart. Nice little house back here, probably a shed or something, a house back there, to maybe woodworking or something that they did in the back. Lots of land. Look at the land though. So this is historic. I don't know, do you get any type of grants or whatever to restore a historic home? You probably want to think about that as far as like when you go to finance it or whatever. Is there anything that helps you? Does the city have something to preserve these homes? Because these are historical, these historical properties. So there might be something there where the city helps you. It's like, hey, I need to, fix things. This roof looks like it's a little crooked to me. Maybe it's just my eyes or whatever. Maybe it's just the way it looks or whatever, but it looks a little bit crooked there. But yeah, I think, there might be some merit in checking to see what the city does for houses like that. But definitely need some work, some paint for sure. Probably stripping and painting that to get it back up into pristine shape. So you're going to have a little money. It looks nice from the front, but you can tell the paint up here needs a lot of work. House needs to be painted again for sure. So it's just a matter, okay, is the 400 grand worth it, and how much money you're willing to put in it? Because you might buy it for 400 grand, but you might need another 400 grand to really get it to where it needs to be, to have someone, and that's going to take time too. This is not something you could just throw together. You're going to need people who are kind of specialized in fixing homes like this and making sure that they're okay. Make sure that they preserve some of the history, but at the same time it's modernized. You need somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't know what this is up here. Can you even go up in there or whatever? It's a bell, like you ring a bell up in there for church or something. I don't know, but very cool, man. Very cool. This Victorian house, Chatham, Virginia, 6,000 square feet, 7 bedrooms in it, 3 bathrooms in it. Looks like a project for somebody. So what do you guys think of this house? Would you like to live in this house? Would you like to renovate it? What would you like to do with it? All right. See you soon.